Good evening. It's Thursday night. It's a prediction show again, guys. 7:30 as always. If you're watching live, get your comments as always. We'll go through all the Premier League fixtures from round six. Round six already. The season's flying along. We'll get all the fixtures. We've got a special guest, Rory, from Victory Vice, who's a Swansea City fan, to give his possessions for the guests this week. Jack is obviously always here to do his predictions. As always, guys, if you're watching back, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Then you'll know when we're live, so you can join us for a show. Now it's 7:30. It's time for the prediction show.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get some good evenings in. Evening, Ross. Great to have you as always. Gray, great to have you as always. You know, we're welcome on it any time. Ivan, good to have you on. I hope you're keeping well and Sierra Leone. Hassan, great to have you as always, mate. Jay, let's hope we don't get the same VAR referee as we did at Brighton game. We won't talk about that. It's gone. It's gone. Maz, evening. Nacho to start against Burnley. Well, that'll be for tomorrow night show when Reedy will talk about the game going into it. Let's get Jack on as always. Evening, Jack. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. How was your trip to Millwall last night down to the Den?
A very good trip down to Millwall for the Foxes yesterday. 2-0 win away. That's a very hostile reception at the Den. But, you know, we got the result we needed and on to the fourth round against Millwall, Brighton for revenge.
Fair play, fair play. It's all caught up though, mate. In the league, you were flying. It's all been pegged back now. The table doesn't lie. The guests have 35 points. Jackie Boy has 34. And little old me on 31. I clawed some points last week with a couple of nice 3 points and 9 points in the bag. Let's get Rory on from Victory Device. Good evening, mate. Great to have you on.
Pleasure's all mine, gents. How are you all doing? You okay?
Good.
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. How are you finding the championship season so far with Swansea?
To be honest with you, lads, I mean, there's not an awful lot to say. You know, you can't polish a turd, can you? So ultimately, it's going to be a long, hard struggle. As I said to you before we came on, I don't think it benefits the team that, you know, there's been quite a bit of instability, you know, managerial wise, and having a look at the actual players that are there. They're not the players that were there previously. You know, your Bonis, your Michus, people like that. So, you know, trying to get a tune out of those players is very difficult. So it's going to be a long season, gents, shall we say? Very long.
Fair play, fair play. Well, let's get the first round of fixtures this weekend. And what a game to start the weekend, a 12:30 kickoff. Just a small one between top of the table boys. Chelsea versus Manchester City. Jack, what's your thoughts on this mouth-watering tie to start the weekend off?
I mean, Manchester City drew last game against Southampton 0-0. Some controversial decision with VAR, shall we say, a very weekend of it. Not just in the Man City game. Chelsea, on the other hand, they're winning games, aren't they? They seem very confident this season. Romelu Lukaku's banging in the goals. I mean, against the Manchester City side, I mean, Chelsea's got a good record against Manchester City at the Bridge, having won their last 2 or 3 ties, I think, there. So they won Liverpool the title last season. Did Chelsea beating Manchester City at the Bridge last season? It's going to be a very good game. 2 title contenders this season for the league. I think it's going to be end-to-end, this one. They're both going to have very many chances in this game, and it's going to be very end-to-end and a very attacking one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one.
1-1. What's your thoughts?
You know what, lads? This game coming up, I fancy Chelsea to win it. I think they're a pretty well-oiled machine. You look at that Chelsea side, and the difference between Chelsea and City right now is one team completed the jigsaw and the other didn't. So Chelsea went and got Lukaku. City missed out on Kane. And City did well last season to go as far as they did and to win what they won without a sort of a recognised striker. But I think it's going to catch up with them this season. I still think they'll have a decent season. They always win the League Cup. It basically belongs to them anyway. But the major trophies, I think that's going to elude them. And that Chelsea side, like there's so many winners in it. You know, back to front, you look at Thiago Silva and Kante, and even Havertz at a young age now has got a winning pedigree. So, I mean, for me, I'm going Chelsea 2-0. I think they win that.
2-0. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 Chelsea win. I've just got a feeling Chelsea with Lukaku are the team to stop. I know Liverpool played well this season, scored some goals, but for me, Chelsea look unstoppable. And even Timo Werner now, he's scoring goals where he wasn't last year. Timo now getting in positions and he's scoring. Let's see what the fans think. As always, get your score positions in, see what you guys think for this round of fixtures. As he says, a 2-0, he's following you. He's a 2-0 as well. Jay says a 3-2 Chelsea win. Come on, guys, get your score predictions in. Last week was a nightmare, obviously, because of the Europa League and have to do a 6:15 show and then straight down the ground. We go to another 12:30 kickoff for some reason. 2 12:30 kicks off in the Premier League this weekend, and it's Man United versus Aston Villa. An interesting round. Man United seem to be flying this season and definitely will be in that title race with Ronaldo pushing them forward against an Aston Villa side that if they just took their chances at the bridge probably could have got something from the game. Jack, what's your thoughts on this, mate?
Manchester United were in a very controversial game against West Ham last weekend. I mean, Villa, on the other hand, completely manhandled Everton in that second half. Got the respectably win, which they fully deserved, I thought. Martinez were fantastic. Leon Bailey came on and scored. He seems a very good threat. It was just a shame he went off injured. But Villa look very decent against teams this season. They're very oiled and very well run. Manchester United, on the other hand, Cristiano Ronaldo's banging in the goals for fun. He scored last weekend as well against West Ham United. Manchester United could have landed up with a draw if Mark Noble would have scored that penalty, but it reminded me of Jamie Vardy's penalty just coming on from the subs bench to take the penalty against Tottenham. Mark Noble did exactly the same, and the same outcome happened. Manchester United at home, they obviously lost yesterday in the Cup against West Ham. I think Villa's going to be very difficult. They seem to be very well drilled away from home. Manchester United, Ronaldo, I think he's going to be on the score sheet again. I'm going to go Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 1 in this one.
Rory, what's your thoughts, mate?
Do you know, I'm going to go United 3-1. It's interesting with United. It depends which side shows up. Like, I've watched United a few times this season. The first half against Newcastle, all right, you know, Ronaldo got on the score sheet, but they were poor. They weren't great. And when they have teams with a sort of a low defensive block, they really do struggle to break them down. And Villa have the players to hurt them. You know, if you look at that Manchester United midfield, Fred and McTominay, okay, they're not bad players, but they're not world class. And when you look at players that Villa have, you know, like Bailey, Buendia, even Ings, people that can drop deep, play between the lines, they're a threat in and around the box. I fancy Villa to score, but I think United will just, you know, they'll be too much at Old Trafford. So I'm going 3-1 United.
3-1. I'm going for a 2-0 United win. I know Aston Villa had a good result before that against Everton, but I've just got this feeling that Man U will just be too much from this weekend, and they're flying for me. Guys still out there. Hazine says 2-1 to Villa. Paris, good job on as always. Man United 2-1 again. 2-1 Villa win. Going for a Villa win on that one. Fair play to you. Dave says a 2-1 Man U win. Matt, you know, United to win it in the last minute because everything keeps gifted United 3 points. There we go. Man United to cream this one. This is a long running joke from the other week. Ronaldo won't last. He'll get injured. Well, that would be a bit of a nightmare for them. But they go on to Everton, who have started the season very well, up to being at Villa Park versus a Norwich team who can't buy a win in the Premier League, can't buy a win in the League Cup. Jack, what's your thoughts on this one, mate?
Norwich, a side who's lost 19 Premier League games straight. The record books have thrown it at them this time. Everton, they'll want to put things right after a very bad defeat to Villa. Damari Gray, he'll want to show up this game. He'll want to punish Norwich. But I mean, don't be blindsided by Norwich's form. Norwich can always surprise you. Records stay forever. I mean, league form doesn't at times. I mean, Norwich, I think it's going to be difficult at Goodison Park for Everton. I don't see Everton leaving Norwich stuck in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this one.
1-1. Do you know something we don't about the team? 1-1. Fair play. Fair play. Rory, what's your thoughts, mate?
I'm going to go, lads, 2-0 Everton. I can't see Norwich doing anything. Any Norwich fans that are watching, apologies in advance. But they're a championship side in the Premier League. And I think it shows, for some reason, Norwich, they just, they keep coming up, they keep going down, they keep coming up, they keep going down. It's never one or the other with them. Some teams, when they get relegated, they just fade away and they drift off into obscurity. But Norwich always find a way to come back. But they just, I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe their game plan or the board, but it's very difficult to see a future for them in the Premier League, and they are struggling. And that Everton side, they've had their problems. You look at Rodriguez; he's just gone. When Benitez arrived, there was really no harmony at the club at all. But when you have, Gray, you have Calvert-Lewin, Townsend, they can do damage, and I don't think Norwich are going to have enough.
2-0, and I've gone for a 3-0. I've just got a feeling Everton are just going way too strong. Like you say, Norwich, Dean Smith didn't spend any money when they come up. It's, for me, very, very an insult to the Norwich fans in some way. You support that club every single week. That you go down, you get promoted. You go down, you get promoted. And no point when you get that promotion, you've sold your best player in Diaz to Aston Villa in the summer, your most creative player they had. And then you don't replace him, or and then next season they'll probably go down and they'll sell Campbell, will leave and go somewhere. So it's a very insult to Norwich fans for me that they don't try and make an effort to try and stay in the league. They don't need to be spending stupid money, but they could spend a little bit more money than they had to try and be a bit more competitive. That's all I think any fan would ask you to stay in the league. Come up and give it a good go. So I'm going for a 3-0 on this one. As he says, 3-0 to Everton. Trev says a 4-0 win. Bolinifi says a 3-0 win. Facebook user said 2-1. Norwich, let's be having you. It always comes out. Remember, Everton don't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, and Denis for this game. Well, it could make a difference. Paris says 3-1 Everton. Gray to get back on the score sheet. He has started well for them. Fair play to Damari. Bill said, feel sorry for Norwich fans. They are laughing stock of the Premier League. They just are a little bit. We then go to another big game for me in this one. Leeds United trying to get a win in the Premier League. They've struggled this season after a very good first season back in the Premier League against a West Ham side who were absolutely flying before a couple of interesting results. Draws against Palace, lost to Man United. What's your thoughts on this one, Jack?
It's no easy game going to Elland Road for any away team. But I read on social media earlier that Patrick Bamford's out, and so are many others for Leeds. So that might prove costly for Leeds in this game. West Ham, Mikel Antonio's back the tank. He's going to be running right in this game. I reckon he'll get a few. Leeds won't know how to handle that sort of man of a mountain of Mikel Antonio. The pace, the speed, the powerhouse that he is. I think this one's going to go one way. I'm going to go West Ham United 3, Leeds United 0.
3-0. What's your thoughts then? Let's go down the line.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham. I think Leeds at home, like you said, they are, they're an intimidating proposition for a lot of teams. But if Bamford's out, that's a big loss. Leeds, the way they play is very expressive and it's very open. And I think that kind of plays into West Ham's game plan a little bit, because that West Ham side, you'll struggle to see a more functional side. They're all big lads. They're all powerful. They all tactically, they know what they're supposed to do. And if you're going to beat Leeds, the best way to beat them is to beat them on the counter and to get some goals via set plays. And like I said, there's some big lads in that side. I don't think Leeds are going to be able to handle sort of West Ham from set pieces. And if they do get them on the counter, whether it's Benrahma or whether it's sort of Mikel Antonio, it spells troubles for Leeds. I really think West Ham, in the form they're in, because they were unlucky against United as well, I fully expect West Ham to get a win.
So you've gone for a 2-1. I'm going 3-1 to West Ham. They were very unlucky against Man United last weekend. They then went and got an absolutely brilliant result last night in the League Cup with a second-string team. In some ways, players who hadn't played, Martin Noble said after the game, this team is hungry because they're not playing regular and they want to show why they should be in the team. I just think they're just going to have too much. Antonio back in the squad is massive for West Ham, and we saw what he did to Leicester. He tore us apart. And I think he'll do exactly the same for West Ham versus Leeds. So I'm going for a 3-1. Evening, Craig. Good to have you on, mate. He's gone for a 3-1 West Ham win. Another 3-1 Antonio hat-trick. Paris says a 3-0. As he says, a 2-2 draw. Fair play. 3-0 to the Hammers, says Trev. We then go to Algo. A massive game for Leicester this weekend. After a couple of poor results for Leicester, time to get back on the winning road. Winning at Millwall the other night, hopefully will give some confidence, and Johnny Evans, touch wood, will be available this weekend. I think he's massive for us because at the moment, without him in the team, we look very shaky at the back. With Johnny in the team, it's completely different. Jack, what's your thoughts of Leicester versus Burnley?
It's going to be a tough game. The way Leicester play at the back, just the way we play, innit? We build from the back and we counter-attack. But then when it comes to getting in the box, we don't seem to know where goals are. The second half against Millwall, we were far better. We attacked the game. We took advantage of Millwall and we rightfully won the game. And so what a rocket by Kelechi Iheanacho to finish the game off. First goal for Ademola Lookman as well. That'll give him confidence. Obviously, Jose Perez be back this weekend. Burnley, on the other hand, struggling. I think they've only got 1 point, haven't they, this season? Yeah. So I think they're going to be a presence. Chris Ward, Barnes, Ben Mee, Tarkowski, they're going to be a right presence from set pieces, which Leicester can't defend. I think that's where they'll hurt us, if they're going to hurt us anywhere on the pitch, in the air and stuff like that. Leicester, hard done by against Brighton. Fraudulent activity went on at Brighton at the weekend. We got given decisions against us what weren't even decisions. They all should have counted in our favour, but you move on, don't you? We can't keep living on in the past. But I think Leicester City will win this one. I'm going to go Leicester City 3, Burnley 1.
3-1. Rory, what's your thoughts on this this tricky type? Very tricky, in my opinion.
Well, you know what, lads, as I'm a guest on a Leicester platform, it's going to be a Leicester win, obviously. I couldn't say anything bar that, could I, coming on? But no, lads, look, I don't know. It's interesting, I suppose, to get your opinions on it as to what your ambitions are as Leicester fans. I look at Leicester as a top 4 club now. There's no doubt about that. If they put the pieces of the jigsaw together, there's no reason they shouldn't be in the top 4. There's some terrific players there. I can fully see them beating Burnley 3-0. That's what I'm going to go for. This Burnley side, year in, year out, I kind of look at Burnley and I think, well, how have you stayed up? What have you done to justify staying up other than set pieces? And again, respectfully to, Burnley fans, I think this is the season now where it all comes crashing down. They haven't really invested in the summer. They haven't really added anything new. They've kind of been not worked out, but teams know now that, okay, they're going to be physical, but that's it. If we can get through sort of the first 20 minutes, okay, we've got past that point. If we can get past the first hour, what else have they got? And they haven't really got anything. They're not bringing anything to the table. So for me, it's a Leicester win all day. 3-0, Vardy hat-trick.
Vardy hat-trick. Yeah, I'm going to go a lot closer this weekend, and I think it will all come down to us getting that first goal. I still think it'll be close. I'm going for a 2-1 Leicester win. I'm still very optimistic with this season where we can go. A top 6 finish for me would be another good season, and as far as we can get in Europe would even be a bonus. The clubs around us, I love you saying that we're a top 4 club. I still think we're maybe a season 2 away from that. And the only way we're going to get in that top 4 is by breaking into it one season. I just feel this year is going to be more difficult with the likes of Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea. have spent some very good money and strengthening the right areas to push, the so clubs, West Ham and Leicester, just a little bit further out of that gap as they always try and do. So I'm going for a 2-1. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going for a Lookman and Ian Nacho. I'm going to keep the boys from Millwall to score again this weekend. Get your thoughts in on this one, guys. And by the way, Jack, I don't agree with what you said about VAR mixing up last weekend. I think the first goal he got right, that Barnes was in an offside position. I felt the second goal, what we scored from the header, he got completely wrong. Barnes is to the left of the goalkeeper, nowhere near him. But the penalty is the joke of the incident, mate. If you can't use the replay to see that Vestergaard was being pulled down in the box, then what is the point of having VAR and a screen to go even to look at? 2-1 Leicester win. Gone with us on there. Hazine says 4-0. Parry says a 3-1. Hopefully Lookman to play. He's been brilliant. I hopefully he stays after his loan. Hopefully see Nacho and Daka later to see him when Bron has been playing different sides. Of the other teams like Daka and Lookman, last night we looked better with them than we have done in the league. I agree with you. I think Lookman, for me, he came on against Man City in his debut, and Harvey Barnes had a nightmare in that game for some reason, and he did the opposite. He didn't get scared of Kyle Walker like Barnes had. He turned and ran at him, and Kyle Walker then basically, right, what do I do now? Because you've got someone on the pitch who actually wants to have a go at me. And Lookman looks the kind of player we've been missing on that right-hand side, someone who's not scared to run with the ball. We then move to the next fixture, the relegation battle. Watford versus Newcastle. Watford, who lost in the cup to a championship side, Stoke in midweek 3-1 against a Newcastle team who are struggling, who have sold the main striker, Andy Carroll, let him go, Andy Carroll, at the beginning of the season. I know they have Wilson and they've got the threat of some Maximum, but without them playing every week and looking deadly, they look a very bang-average side in the Premier League. Jack, what's your thoughts on Watford versus Newcastle?
Watford won their last game away at Carrow Road, 3-1. What a good result for them. That'll give them confidence. I know they lost in the cup, but that was a second-string Watford side. They felt they had to make changes, which every Premier League side does in the cup competitions. I mean, Watford's aim this season will be to stay in the Premier League. Newcastle, on the other hand, Saint-Maximin keeps them in any game. If Saint-Maximin's on form, so are Newcastle. You know, he just carries them in it to the finish. I mean, this one, Saint-Maximin versus Ismail Sarr in this one. It's the attack of the wingers. Whoever comes out on top, it remains to be seen. They're very quick, very attacking, them pair. I think Watford, this one, will have home advantage on a very poor Newcastle side. I'm going to go for Watford 2, Newcastle 1.
Rory, what's your thoughts on this one, mate?
Do you know, lads, I'm going to go score draw. I'm going to say 2-2. Watford versus soon-to-be Saudi Arabia FC. It's hardly a game for the neutral to watch. I mean, realistically, if there was paint drying outside, lads, I'd probably watch the paint dry. Like, honestly, it's not my cup of tea watching Watford versus Newcastle. Don't get me wrong, ASM and Sarr, like you pointed out, two top-class players. And the boy Sarr is unbelievable. He's powered by jet fuel. Like, he's incredible. I think he's going to be a top player. And I can see why, a lot of the bigger clubs are looking at him. But I don't think it's going to be that enthralling, lads. You're going to find that it's going to be a lot of schoolboy errors probably in this game. It's not going to be, two teams that are passing each other off the pitch. Watford will have the home advantage. I think they'll use that to their advantage. And it's going to be a long trip back for Newcastle fans, unfortunately.
2-2. I'll go for a 2-0 Watford win. I just think that home form for them, I said at the beginning of the season, you win your home games, you've got every chance of staying in the Premier League. And I think games like this for Watford, if they want to stay up, they've got to get maximum points. So I'm going for a 2-0 Watford win on this one. Trev says, driving hours to watch the Foxes, same on Saturday with me, lads. Fair play, mate. I see he says a draw as well. He's going 1-1. Craig says a boring 0-0. Paint would be quicker to drive. I think if we're honest on that. Sam Maximin to score a brace. We then go to Liverpool's big game of the weekend. A tricky tie for Liverpool for me. Brentford, who have been a breath of fresh air in the Premier League, playing some absolutely great football. They show Arsenal how to play, bullied them off the park on the opening day of the season, and they've gone from strength to strength. They picked up some good results. I know they lost to Brighton the other week, a last-minute game, but Liverpool will find this a tricky tie this weekend for me. Jack, what's your thoughts, mate?
Credit to a Brentford side and Thomas Frank and his team. Very hungry, desire, battle, the lot. Brentford's got it this season. They're not scared of anybody. Showed it against Wolves. Mbeumo and Ivan Toney linking up very well against Wolves. They ripped Wolves' defence to shreds. They could have had more. I mean, Wolves got very let off in that first half. Brentford could have been 3 or 4 up. Wolves made some very costly mistakes in that game defensively. I mean, Connor Cody were having a word with his defence. What can you do when they're not there? I mean, Liverpool, on the other hand, they're in very good form. Mo Salah, Sadio Mane. They also got the win against Leeds and that as well. I think Brentford at home, they look very good this season. They're nothing to be ashamed about. They're very good. They're very attacking. And they're very good at what they do. And I think Liverpool fans are going to undermine Brentford in this game. If you know what, they're a championship side. Luck's going to run out for them. But I think it's going to be a slap of reality for Liverpool in this one. I'm going to go Brentford 2, Liverpool 1.
Ooh.
That's a big call.
That's a big call.
Rory, what's your thoughts, mate?
I'll probably go the opposite direction, lads, just for safety purposes. I'm going to say Liverpool, Liverpool 3, Brentford 0. Yeah, 3-0 3-0 Liverpool. I mean, that Liverpool side, when they click, they are sort of a 95, 98-point side. I can't, if it wasn't for Chelsea buying Lukaku, I'd be looking at that Liverpool team now thinking, wow, they've got a very good chance. I think they lose Salah and Mane in the middle of the season, so that's probably going to hinder them a little bit. But whilst they're there, they'll certainly make up for lost time. Brentford, we talked about Norwich, lads. If I'm a fan of a team that's just come up, I'm looking at the Brentford sort of blueprint and I'm thinking, that's what I want. Hunger, ambition, desire more than anything. Just don't be scared. Just go out. If you're gonna go down, fucking go down 5-4 every game. Give us something to be, talk about. That's what you want. Like it helps having an Ivan Toney, right? Don't get me wrong, the guy is a terrific striker. He was the difference between, them and Wolves the other day. So I think Brentford, very commendable what they're doing. I like their style of football as well. And I think it will pay dividends over the course of a season. But this Liverpool team, they are a Champions League team and they're a very good team. And, first 20 minutes will be key if Brentford can weather the storm. But if Liverpool score in that first 20 minutes, you might see a landslide.
Fair play. I'm going to start the fence on this. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I've just got a feeling Brentford are going to be very, very hard to break down. Again, I totally agree with Liverpool now with Van Dijk at the back has completely made them a better team. Gomez is coming back to his fitness. We all know Gomez, for me, is an England starter when on his day. He looked class, the young man. But I just think this game's going to be a very tricky tie for them at the 5:30 kickoff as well, in a stadium that's compact and will be full of atmosphere. I'm going to give Brentford a little credit on this one and going for a draw. Like I say, guys, actually coming in. Craig says a 2-0 Liverpool win by the looks of it. We then move to Sunday's fixtures, and Southampton got a good point at Man City at the weekend versus a Wolves team who, for some reason, cannot score goals. They've had plenty of chances in their 3 games or 4 games had before the weekend, and they were probably very unlucky not to have some points on the board. As I sit here, the opening day of the season versus Leicester, they could easier won that game. But Adam Traore cannot put the ball in the net for Toffee at the moment, and sadly, Raul Jimenez has not got any form back since his head injury. Jack, what's your thoughts on this game, mate?
The tank's running but not shooting. I mean, this one, Adama Traore, is going to be hard to break down going forward. He's like Brock Lesnar of the WWE, The tank is a beast. But it's just his finishing. If you've seen him against Brentford, that one what hit the crossbar. I mean, he's got everything in a winger, just not his crossing and his shooting. It lets him down. It lets Wolves down. they get to that final third and they just can't put it away. Jimenez doesn't seem the same striker as last season. Maybe that's down to injury, which you can very much understand. Southampton side, who's going to have confidence, having come away with a point against the champions Manchester City. They'll feel, you know what, if we can get points like that, then we can beat teams like Wolves. I mean, Wolves are struggling this season defensively in that. I mean, they're going to be down there this season in the relegation battle. I think Wolves, Southampton at home, Shea Adams, Armstrong. I think they're going to be very good together in this game. I'm going to go for a Southampton 2-0 win against Wolves.
Fair play, 2-0. Rory, what's your thoughts, mate, on this game? It's an interesting season for both clubs so far. I thought Southampton would struggle and they've done all right in their game, but Wolves this year just completely look lost.
Yeah, they do. That momentum Wolves had, it's just collapsed. You know, it's difficult really to point your finger where it's gone wrong. I know a change of manager is always big. I suppose you would look at the Jimenez situation, and God love the lad. Like, you know, I don't know how he's doing on a personal level, but he looks like a shadow of the player he was. So I don't know what's really going on there, if there's maybe more to it and he's sort of maybe struggling mentally as well, because his injury was horrific. Like, it was, honest to God, it was one of the worst injuries you'll probably ever see from a head injury standpoint. So asking him to lead the line is difficult. He doesn't look like I don't know. Like, he's a Champions League player on his day, but he doesn't look like he's interested in it right now, and that's a big problem for Wolves because they really need someone to put the ball in the net. Like, Adama Traore is great, right? The guy can beat 10 men, but he's got no end product, which is weird, right? Because ultimately, you'd think at the age he's at, he'd have figured it out by now. He's not a kid, but he's not also old either. He's sort of that in between now where you have to start producing to go up to the next level. So for me, I'm going to go Southampton 2-1. I just think Southampton tactically, they are set up so well. Ward-Prowse is such a great leader in the middle of the pitch. I don't think they're going to score loads of goals this season, far from it. But I think in this game, when you're playing a Wolves team that are down on their luck and they're struggling to score, if there's one team you're going to outscore this weekend, it'll probably be Wolves.
2-1. I'm going for a 2-0. I'm following Jack on this one. I just don't see where the goals are coming. Your point about Traore, for me, you know, this former Barcelona player, you know, he's come through Barcelona Academy and everything like that before he came to England. He was at Villa, he's at Middlesbrough. This kid looked the bee's knees for me at one point. But again, we've always said that it's all right beating 10 men. It's always getting to the byline and that yard of space. But if you can't put the ball on the plate for a striker, then as a winger, that's your job. Then you're not doing what you're being paid for. And he might get into the best positions, but he can't finish them. Like I say, I go back to the game against Leicester and at 0-0. He picks the ball up when he's been put through. He's running through on goal and he puts it past the post. It's those fine margin. If they went one up in their game, they probably would have beat us, if I'm honest with you, on that day. They were better than us. They had 17 shots on target, I think, in that game or something stupid against us. And it just showed they just could not score goals for us. We then go to the Harry Kane derby, the former Arsenal picture-taking photo. Now, Spurs superstar, Arsenal versus Tottenham, the North London derby. Jack, what's your thoughts on this? Be an interesting game. A Tottenham team who have started the season well at one point, but a couple of bad performances, losing twice, 3-0 in the space of 7 days, I think has taken the stuffing out of them. As we saw last night at Wolves, they look very weak at the back at the moment.
Yeah. Chelsea made Spurs look very average. Chelsea, a very good side, fully deserved the win. Spurs were terrible at home to Chelsea. You'd expect better from Tottenham, even Harry Kane. I mean, Harry Kane doesn't want to be at Tottenham. His heart isn't there now. He wants to win trophies and he's got that determination to go and do it. He's obviously let Tottenham know last summer that he wants to go. He didn't get the move that he wanted, which probably would have been Man City for 160 million. I mean, Son, I think, is a very talented player. He's probably their best player under Harry Kane. Fantastic. I mean, Harry Kane wouldn't score all these goals if it wasn't for Son setting him up quite a lot. He's seen it for England. Harry Kane doesn't score without Son, the player that Son is. Gets the ball into him. If you're not getting in the ball into him, he's only going to score penalties, isn't he? He's going to struggle to get around the box. Arsenal side, who beat AFC Wimbledon. I mean, we'll let Arsenal have that one. They can big themselves up now to beat a very League One average side, who's going to be fighting for relegation probably in League One. Let them have the fame for now. I mean, they beat Burnley 1-0. It weren't a convincing win, but they got the win. Arsenal's results this season, when they have won, it's only been 1-0. It's not been a pleasure of an entertaining game. I mean, it's been boring and not really interesting in watching. I mean, Tottenham, this game, I think they'll turn this around. Tottenham seems to be very good in the North London derby. I'm going to go for Tottenham 2, Arsenal 0.
2-0. Rory, what's your thoughts, mate, on the North London derby?
Yeah, the Harry Kane derby. It's interesting, isn't it, lads? You know, a derby game form generally goes out the window, but it's hard not to look at the form for both sides. I'm going to go 1-1. I don't think either team is going to run away with it. Spurs, you know, they've made good signings. Like Romero, again, you know, he's probably the best defender in Serie A last season, but they can't stop conceding. And Brian Gill was one of the most creative talents in Spain, and now they're not looking like scoring. So how do you put that right? I think it just comes with time. It keeps it, you know, people sort of settling in, taking time to gel. They're not a bad side. You know, there's a good sort of nucleus of players at that Spurs team. But again, they've got a manager that's a fourth choice pick. So what do you really do with that? You know, if your star striker doesn't want to be there and your manager was fourth or fifth on the list, you know, you're kind of clutching at straws a little bit. And the Arsenal now are starting to look solid. You know, going away to Burnley, that's the kind of game where they would have folded. You know, they'd have been bent over a few times. Arsenal going to Turf Moor. So looking at the team they've got, you know, the lad, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, forgive my ignorance. Is it Tomiyasu? Is that how you pronounce it? The right back?
Yes, it is, mate.
He looked solid. He looked a very good player. He looked a good find, you know. And then Tierney, you know, he again at left back is very reliable. I don't think he's world class. But again, White and Gabriel, Ramsdale, that core sort of nucleus, you can put them against most teams in the Premier League with Partey in front, and you wouldn't necessarily need to worry too much. So I think Arsenal are okay. You know, I don't think, again, they're going to run away with it. I think form goes out the window. So it's, you know, it's going to be... I can't see past 1-1, to be honest with you, lads. I mean, with an uninterested Kane and sort of an out-of-form Aubameyang, you do wonder where will the goals come from. So I think they'll sort of cancel each other out.
I'm following suit on that one, mate, and I'd already put 1-1 in that score predictions. I just don't see who would going to win this game. I think both clubs will be very, very unsure to go out and attack too much, and I think that the draw is probably the likely results on this game. Craig says a 2-1 to Arsenal, and Sam says a 0-0 paint line session again. We then go to the biggest derby of the weekend for somehow.
Yeah.
Big derby. Rivalry. Not sure how this works, but apparently
those two London teams.
Crystal Palace, who have had some good results of late, beating Tottenham 3-0. Lost to Liverpool on the weekend, but did have a good result against a Brighton team who are flying in the Champions League spots. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? Jack, what's your thought on the final game of the round 6, mate?
Crystal Palace be very difficult to beat at home. They beat Spurs 3-0. Edward, £15 million in the summer. What a bargain player he is for them. He'll score quite a lot of them goals this season for them if they play him every game. Brighton, a very controversial win against Leicester. VAR this time, I don't think it'll be the same. Morpie can try and get away with many decisions that he wants to get away with, pulling players down and upsetting whoever. But, you know, what goes around comes around, and he's going to get what's coming to him in one game where he's going to do it, and then probably someone will end up headbutting him or something like that. But, I mean, Brighton, they're very good this season. They're up there in the top 6 spots at the minute. They seem to be winning games under Graham Potter. But I mean, it showed against Leicester, they're beatable in defence. You know, they run it their defence, they'll fold. And I think if Crystal Palace can do that with Wilfried Zaha and people like that, then I think Crystal Palace are going to win this game in the South London derby or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go 2-1 Crystal Palace in this one.
2-1. Rory, what's your thoughts, mate, on your final prediction for the guests?
Yeah, the South. I did a bit of research on this game specifically, lads. When I was coming on, and I saw obviously the headline about it being a derby, and I was thinking, how is this a derby? One's on the south coast, the other's in London, and obviously there's a bit of needle between them in the '70s, and for some reason people call it a derby. If that's what turns you on, fair enough. I don't call it a derby myself, but they're both good sides. Again, I could easily see them both finishing mid-table. Palace, what they've lacked is leadership. Everything has been on Zaha's shoulders, which is a lot because he's a spiky character. There's days when you'll get the best out of Zaha and he's world class. There's days he goes into his shell. And the one lad that I like, that I really think will help sort of revitalise Palace is Conor Gallagher. He was at Swansea. He's been at Chelsea. He brings a lot of energy. He's not technically the best, but he leads from the front, and he's a character, and you need that in Premier League football. And he helps, them play the way they want to play. They have the ball forward quick. They press well. Vieira's trying to implement his own style. So I think they've got the players there to sort of do it. It's just a case of can they do it consistently. Brighton, I like Maupay. I know you give him a little bit of stick there, but he reminds me of like a pound shop Luis Suarez. Like he's just a bit of a bastard, but he knows how to score. And I like that in a player. So I like Maupay, Trossard and Welbeck sort of facilitating him. Brighton's biggest problem was scoring goals. The whole thing on Twitter was their expected goals, was always, a decent amount, but they could never sort of get to that sort of expected goals amount. And they have the players now to do it. Welbeck, Trossard, Maupay. If they can keep them fit, they play a lovely style of football. Everyone knows what Graham Potter's about. I think he'll be an England manager one day as well. They really do have a unique style where they sort of try and play out from the back and get it forward quick and play between the lines. So I think it'll be it's a tough one, lads. I'm going to say 2-2 because both teams have goals in them now, but I do think they'll cancel each other out.
Have you been reading mine? Because I've gone for a 2-2 as well.
Yeah. Great minds think alike. See, that's what it is.
I just think there'll be goals in this game. I think we saw, as much as Brighton has been brilliant this season, Leicester really, really did press them the second half, and to come away with nothing was a travesty. They looked very, very shaky towards the end. The last 25 minutes, Leicester literally were just turning the screw, and it was a matter of time. And who knows, if things had gone our way, we probably would have come out with a victory in the end. But I'm going for a 2-2. I think there'll be goals in this game. I think it'll be an exciting game to finish off the weekend on Monday night. Rory, thank you for coming on, mate. Where can people follow you? And I think you're on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, all the above, gents, all the above. If you want to subscribe, we'd love it. Victory and Vices podcast is the YouTube channel. What I'll do, I'll go into the comments when this is up, and I'll leave my sort of Twitter and IG sort of information there, but it's basically my name at Rory Spooner, as you can see on the screen if it's there. So yeah, follow me. I love interacting with everyone, love to get to know new people. Lads, thank you so much again for the opportunity. The one thing we want to do now is branch out and go to other people's shows, and at some point hopefully we can get you onto ours and we can have a proper pod and talk everything that's going on in the football world. But yeah, no, I've loved it, lads. Honestly, brilliant 40 minutes. Thank you for the invite.
No problem, mate. Thanks for coming on, and we'll speak to you soon.
Take care, lads.
The last few comments in. Sam says a 2-1 Palace, by the way. Brighton lucky second half against us. Craig says a 2-1 win. Well, there we go. And round 6 of fixtures have done. I mean, again, thank you for coming on. As always, Jack, it's a pleasure to have you on, mate. I know you're a busy man. You go to games, you're doing the women's show, the away show. Low on numbers tonight, there, guys. I'm surprised we're low on numbers and comments. Your show, get in. I want to see your comments in there every week. Let's get next Thursday back up to the real show. I know the last couple of weeks have been strange, especially with Europe. Last week, it was a flyby show in the Pizzeria. Jack, thanks for coming on as always, mate. And we'll speak to you on Saturday outside the King Power for Burnley at home.
Yeah, pleasure. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit, mate. And that leaves me, as always, to thank you, the fans who come on and put your predictions in. It's been quiet this tonight, and I think a bit strange one, really. I think with the game last night, I think a few people are probably unsure what was going on this week. But as always, we'll put it out there. Remember, Monday night show, the fan show with Phil at 7:30 every week. Tuesday night, the WSL weekly show. Tuesday again, 7:30 with Jack, as we talk all things Leicester City women. Wednesday night, the fan show. Jack again, getting away fans on, looking at the weekend ahead. Obviously, next Thursday, the big prediction show will be at 8 p.m. will not be 7:30, will be 8 p.m. Remember, we play in Europe next Thursday night at 5:45 kickoff. There will be a watch along with me and whoever my co-host is for the game. Friday night, tomorrow night, remember, 7:30, Reedy building up to Burnley, probably having a quick look back at West Ham. Obviously, Saturday, 3 p.m, we play Burnley. From 2 o'clock, we'll be live. We'll be outside the ground building up to the game. If we can get internet connection, hopefully this time round. And obviously, hopefully, there'll be a watch on. And as always, Sunday morning, the famous Aftermath show with Jamie. You can't miss it on a Sunday morning. Cup of tea, bit of toast, and the famous Aftermath show on a Sunday morning. Now, what more do you want? As for me, as always, thank you for coming on. It's great to have you on, as always, and people putting their comments in. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening. And ta-ta.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.